Hi, sixth grade. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be here to teach Latin dance to you, but this is the next best thing. So I just wanted to let you know that next week you will have a quiz on this information, but it will be an open note quiz. So you'll be able to use your notes, to answer the questions on the quiz. All right, let's get started. So again, here is our map, and you should have a separate sheet of paper with a map on there, and you'll see that we have South America right down here at the bottom. Here's our South America. So around that area is where you'll be putting a star. So Latin America also consists, we have Mexico here, right? Here's us, and here's Mexico. And we also have Portugal and Spain over towards Europe. They are actually in Europe. But we're thinking about a lot of the Latin dances coming from South America itself. Tango, salsa, mambo, and cha-cha. So you probably have heard about a lot of these, especially if you watch Dancing with the Stars, or maybe So You Think You Can Dance. Some of these may have come up on that. So the tango. The tango originates from Buenos Aires, Argentina, which if you look at South America, it's towards the bottom of South America. It is one of the most southern countries in South America. And the tango is African, and the word means meeting place. But it's ironic because the tango doesn't actually have African roots. At some point in the history, there must have been Africans there who are in Argentina, and that word tango stuck. So the actual tango dance was created on the back streets of Buenos Aires by Italian immigrants. So interesting, once again, we have those European migrants coming over and kind of mixing in with the culture a little bit. So those migrants, as I said, moved to Argentina for work. So many of these immigrants were men, and obviously men, as they get older, look for a woman to marry. And it was really important in this culture for them to be good dancers. So one of the dances that they learned was the tango, and they did this through dance schools, or they would teach each other. So there are a few instruments in the tango, and when I come back next class, I'm going to give you some examples of this music. And we're also going to be watching a documentary that has to do with these styles, so you will get to hear the music that is used. So the instruments that we're using in tango are the guitar, the flute, the violin, and the bandoneon. The bandoneon is like a banjo or a guitar. So tango became a dance that wealthy people wanted to do, not just poor people. So after those Italian immigrants kept doing the tango, it actually caught on to more of a socialite thing. They wanted to do it at parties and weddings. So, and then the fame of the tango, obviously, just like the rest of ballroom dancing, which tango has become a part of, it spread from South America to around the world. And really places like New York City have embraced the tango and the whole ballroom scene in general. So there are two types of tango that you're going to see today. So as it says, there is show tango and there is original tango of Buenos Aires. The show tango is the one that you're going to see more often on TV shows or at performances, and it has many stylized head jolts and sharper movements. All right, so when I come back, we will be watching these videos, but for now, let's continue with the presentation. And as you see, once again, we're going to be watching videos from Dancing with the Stars because that's where we can get a lot of our ballroom on television in our current society. All right, so moving on to the next one, it's salsa. So for the salsa, the name for salsa and why it's called salsa is because it comes from the term echale salsita, which is Spanish for spice it up. So you can add this to your Spanish repertoire if you are learning Spanish or will be next year. Echale salsita, spice it up. And as it says, it was shortened to just be salsa. All right, so salsa is going to come from the Caribbean countries such as Cuba, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Central and South American countries such as Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. So the salsa comes from all over these South American and Latin countries, different than the tango, which has a definite origin in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So the salsa's rhythm you may already know. I know a lot of you may culturally at home have learned the salsa with your family. But the salsa's rhythm is in 4 equal parts or beats in one musical bar. For example, in dance, we all are always doing things in 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. A salsa, though, we count it in 4. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the salsa's rhythm, and you would hear that in the music and also with the salsa's dance steps. So once again, in these 4 equal beats in one musical bar, the dance is 3 steps and a tap with the 4 musical beats. So, for example, it would be step, 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 tap, step, 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 tap. This is kind of hard to say over the video, but if we were to do it in person, for example, it would be step side, step center, step together, and tap. Okay, so I'll show that when I come back. So talking about the instruments again, salsa is really great music. It really makes you want to dance. And so the instruments are trumpets, bongos, and maracas. All right, so our salsa videos, once again, just like with the tango videos, we are going to watch those when I return, but our tango video is one that comes from the streets. So regular people doing salsa, because remember, dance is not just for the studio. It's not just for trained dancers. Everyone can be doing these. They're not just for entertainment or for show, but they are cultural things that people do as well. Let's go on to the next one of Mambo. If you've ever seen West Side Story, they have one song that's called Mambo. All right, so Mambo is specifically from Cuba. And the name comes after voodoo priests who were able to send people into wild dances. So these voodoo priests were said that at a ceremony they would do things, and these people that they were working on or, delivering their message to would just turn into wild dances. They would just be so overcome with the feelings or whatever religious thing they're believing, and they would show that in a wild dance. And the churches condemned people for dancing the mambo. So they would go in from these wild dances, and it later turned into a specific form of the mambo. But even though the churches didn't like it, they still were able to gain popularity, and people still continued to do the mambo. All right, and again, we will watch the video when I come back. All right, cha-cha. This is our last one, and it's probably the most well-known Latin dance. Most people, especially because of the cha-cha slide, right? Everybody knows the rhythm of it or how to do it. So let's learn a little bit. So once again, cha-cha is from Cuba. Cuba, we will see, has a lot of dances that come from it, just like the mambo that we just talked about. And Cuba, if you've been following any current events, for a long time Americans couldn't go to Cuba. It wasn't safe for us to go to Cuba. Our governments really didn't agree on a lot of things. And just recently, we've opened up those borders so that we're able to go. So one thing that I'm interested in is to see if a lot of these Cuban dance styles, we'll get to see a little bit more of them, and Cuba's dance culture, we'll get to learn that a little bit more now that these borders are open. So like the mambo, cha-cha is from Cuba. And as I said, cha-cha is one of the most popular Latin dances. Many people know what the cha-cha is. So cha-cha, it kind of says its own name. So its name comes from the 3 out of the 5 steps done in the cha-cha. And you say cha-cha-cha, right? So I'm going to go back just a second. So for example, if we were to do a cha-cha step, if I'm starting on my right foot, I would step forward on my right, back on my left, and then my cha-cha would be a quick right, left, right. So it would be front, step, cha-cha-cha, front, step, 1, 2, 3. And those 3 steps in the middle are what make the cha-cha get its name, cha-cha. So the cha-cha was originally a different style of mambo, right? We think mambo and cha-cha both came from Cuba, so they probably both have things that are similar. But after it became so popular, it really became its own dance style. It started to get its own technique, its own particular steps that aren't seen in mambo dancing. So, and the last thing about cha-cha dances is they're all about having fun, right? And we kind of get that a little bit from the mambo, that aspect of cha-cha, because the mambo and these wild dances, we can see that the cha-cha dances are just all about having fun. Once again, cha-cha. We're going to watch cha-cha as a social dance, so it's going to be of 2 dancers that are dancing at a party, and you'll see the cha-cha, the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, out, step, 1, 2, 3.